Have you ever seen a trailer for a scary movie that genuinely looks scary, but then as soon as you go and see it in the movie theaters, it absolutely flops? Hi, Lexizzle here, and today we are going to be talking about a movie that has recently made me feel that way, and that movie is called Undertone. For anyone who hasn't heard of this movie, Undertone is an A24 horror film released on March 13th, 2026. It's about this woman named Evie who is currently taking care of her very ill mom in her home. When it's nighttime, she hosts a spooky podcast with her co-host Justin. And during one night, Justin tells Evie of an email they received from a strange email address. Attached to the same email are 10 audio files that they themselves record themselves listening to. But as they continue listening to the audio clips, strange things are happening to specifically Evie, as well as her mom, and the home that they are both living in. So the movie came out on the 13th, and my friends and I saw it that following Saturday, the 14th. And oh boy, did we have some comments about that movie. So much to the point where I told them I was going to make a video about it. And before I even continue, there's a few things I gotta say. First of all, there's going to be spoilers. So if you want to see the movie, I don't recommend watching this video unless you don't care to be spoiled. And two, just to give you a heads up on how well this movie did, it got a 6.4 out of 10 rating on IMDb, as well as a very generous 74% on Rotten Tomatoes. And it also looks like on Letterboxd, it got a 3.1 out of 5 stars. So with the spoiler warning out of the way, and just like foreshadowing with the ratings that this movie got, let's go ahead and jump right into why I think this movie was bad. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It was bad.
Did you guys hear that? I'm scared. I don't know what was that, guys, and I didn't do that. I'm scared.
So right off the bat, when you see the movie, you know it's going to be a big sensory overload. Hearing being a very big factor into this movie, which when I saw the trailer for it, I thought was a really cool concept, but then seeing it in the movie, I think was overkill. It was great at first when we were getting introduced to Evie and her podcast, but after a while, like I mentioned, it just got old. Especially when they were trying to do other scare factors, like things happening in the background, or the way they would sometimes angle the camera to make it look creepier than it should be. And there were even some scenes that I thought something was gonna move because of the way that they had the camera angled. Like they would have Evie at like one corner and then just nothingness in like a good chunk of the screen. And I thought maybe there was gonna be a jump scare or something kind of disturbing going on in the background, but it was nothing. I feel like they were trying to focus more on jump scares than actual scary situations. Which, don't get me wrong, I do love me a good jump scare, but to me it seemed like they were just trying to like do more jump scare stuff than more psychological stuff or some other forms of scares that you could see in a scary movie, just because of the fact that this movie was mainly a hearing kind of movie. And it just got a little old after a while. I wanted more out of it and I didn't get enough. But let me just tell you, this was just the lowest of my complaints, and I think this complaint was probably the hardest for me to complain about, but I promise you the rest of my dislikes about this movie will make a bit more sense.
Why? 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 Why?
Now, to say that this story had a lot of plot holes is an understatement, especially when it comes to Evie as a character. When the movie starts, she starts to talk to Justin about her life with her mom and her shitty boyfriend, and immediately you think that there's gonna be somewhat of a forbidden romance between her and Justin, because Justin brings up his, I think either wife or girlfriend, I don't really know, his partner, and he seems like he's wanting to help Evie and wants to even come over if needed, and you think something like that's gonna happen, but no. It gets brought up once, and that's about it with Justin. And then you start to see that this is a pattern that's starting to get really annoying. Because then the shitty boyfriend ends up calling her and inviting her to a party. And she doesn't want to go to said party. She just wants to stay with her mom. And her boyfriend gives her a hard time, so of course she goes to the party. And then when she comes back from said party, mom's on the ground. And the boyfriend calls and he's like, I don't know what you want me to do to help you.
Stupid man thing!
And that's all we get from said shitty boyfriend. We never hear from him again. Then as you go through the movie, you start to realize that this is kind of a tiny little development to what happens towards the end of the movie with Evie and with the demon at the end, which I'll talk about later. But it just seems like any kind of relationship that Evie has is just a plot hole that never just really gets explained, because this also is a thing that happens with Evie's relationship with her mom. Like her relationship with her shitty boyfriend, her relationship with her mom is really brought up, other than the fact that she was religious. Something does kind of get brought up in the end, but it's really stupid, and I'll talk about it. But really, nothing else gets brought up, just that she's her caretaker and that her mom was religious, and I guess Evie's not really that religious, and maybe they don't bond as well, but that's pretty much it. We don't really get to hear anything more about her relationship with her mom. Now, there were other little small plot holes in the movie that were kind of stupid, like Justin and Evie talking about a previous episode of their podcast that they randomly showed at the end of the movie, as well as Evie's drinking problem. But primarily the main plot holes are the relationships that Evie has in her life with Justin, with this boyfriend, and with her mom. Plot holes aside, now let's talk about Evie as a character and how unlikable she is.
People perceive you as somewhat
tempestuous?
heinous bitch is the term used most often.
This was a big thing that was brought up with my group, and I'll be completely honest with you. My friend Sarah was a big Evie hater. She couldn't agree more with her being an unlikable character. For context, when we saw this movie, there was a group of 8 of us, and I was in one part of the row while she was at pretty much the other end of the row, so we were pretty far from each other. And at the end of the movie, I looked to my side because I had my one friend next to me, my friend Art, and then all my other friends were on the other side. So I turned around, and of course I saw that most of my friends were just kind of unbothered except for Chrissy. I love you so much, but this girl gets so scared. But at the very end of the movie, I see Sarah just looking at me and shaking her head like... And at first I thought she just didn't like it. It was just too creepy for her, or there was something else. But as soon as we got out of that movie theater, I realized she hated the movie, and it was all because of Evie. She told me that Evie as a character was such an unlikable character that at the end of the movie, she was hoping for her demise. But even the way she was killed off pissed her off. Now, I understand she's got a lot on her plate, with taking care of her mom, dealing with the relationship that she's not really interested in, and trying to plan this podcast with Justin and just figure out what's going to happen with her life after her mom. And I also understand how she was such a good candidate for this demon, especially after she gets pregnant, which, fun fact, so she's pregnant. However, if you are going to make a character that you hope survives the movie, someone that you root for to make it at the very end, and maybe defeat the monster, you shouldn't make her as this plot hole-less character who makes no sense with any decision that she makes. It was honestly frustrating just watching her visibly get upset about being a mom and start drinking while she's pregnant, and then all of a sudden, the next scene, she goes up to her mom and goes, "I'm gonna be a mom, but I don't know if I'm gonna be a good mom." It just seems like her decisions in this movie are very inconsistent, as well as her moods, and I just couldn't tell what was going to come out of her next. Especially when we get to the end of the movie, which again, I will explain everything at the very end. I just couldn't root for her. I wanted to, but I just couldn't. I just don't think she was written very well, and I kind of wish that maybe there were some things that they could change to make her a better character to root for at the end of the movie, and be sad when she ends up getting killed. But nothing about her just was likable. And I think, if anything, I was rooting for Justin at the end of the movie. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for. The ending.
Are you kidding me?
No.
I think the one thing that can make or break a movie, especially a scary movie, is the ending. I mean, look at the classics like Friday the 13th, or Hereditary, or even most recently, Weapons. They are excellent examples of a great ending. But Undertone? Hell no. Of course, the movie's ending starts with Evie and Justin listening to the last 2 audio clips that were sent, and the demon Abizu was clearly in the last audio clip trying to kill whoever was a mother or soon-to-be mother, because throughout the entire movie they explained that she's this demon whose victims fall under that category. She likes to go after moms and their children, or expected mothers, and this was just really weird timing for me personally because I'm an aunt. So it personally made me uncomfortable, and they never brought that into context in the trailer. But as Justin is freaking out and Evie's just kind of frozen while all this is going on, a woman is crying and saying that she doesn't know what to do, while the baby in the background is hysterically crying. And Evie decides to step in and say that she killed her mom, which got my entire group thinking, wait, oh my god, did she like actually kill her? Did she like smother her in her sleep? Could she not handle taking care of her anymore? Did she notice something kind of spooky or evil or possessed maybe? Are we finally gonna have something interesting happen with Evie? You'd fucking think, right? But nope, it's all hypothetical and meant as a message of her being a bad daughter to her mom and possibly being a bad mother to this future child that she's having. Which somehow triggers the demon and the house just goes nuts. Justin quickly hangs up because he's too freaked out by what's going on, while Evie is freaking out at the house as well. It goes back to the unplugged TV that shows this clip that they were talking about with the previous episode that I mentioned in the beginning of the video that is shown in the beginning of the movie. All of a sudden just gets brought up again at the end of the movie. Then the next thing we know, the screen itself goes black with just a few little like frame spots of Evie's mom getting suffocated by a plastic bag. And then the screen is pretty much pitch black and it's just assumed that Evie's getting killed as well because you just hear her screaming in the background before credits. And that's that. That's how the movie ends. And to my friend group and I, we all thought that was incredibly lazy, very underwhelming, and super disappointing. There just should have been more. There should have been more with the ending, and they should not have just ended the movie with just a blank screen with just Evie screaming. Like, maybe have something else going on in the background if you're just gonna keep the screen blank, or I don't know, maybe do like just like a scary picture or something. Like, I think a really good silent ending to a scary movie is Paranormal Activity 1 with Katie. That always freaked me out when I was younger, and I think that's what they should have done with Undertone. Kind of maybe something similar to kind of show maybe the demon. Well, no, they didn't even give us like the satisfaction of seeing what the demon looked like. It's all just a hearing demon, and I fucking hate it.
Okay, let's go.
Now listen, I know I did a lot of rambling in this video, and my rambling might not make sense to some people, or maybe it's just not your cup of tea. I get it. I just think that I feel this way and I'm rambling this much because I was so disappointed. The last time I felt this way about a scary movie was Unfriended. And let me tell you, when that trailer came out, I remember freaking out so much that I ended up doing a college presentation about how scary this movie could be and how this kind of genre of movie could be great for future horror movies. Only to then go to the movie theater and see the movie be a total flop. And I never thought that a movie would make me feel this frustrated until 12 years later, until now. So if you watch this video and you still want to watch Undertone, despite the fact that I've kind of spoiled it and in my opinion think it sucks, I'm not gonna stop you. You can go watch it if you want. Your opinion might even be better than mine. I saw Moist Critical like the next day talk about how he liked it. But like I mentioned in my past videos, everyone has a right to their own opinion, and we shouldn't judge them for said opinions unless it is harmful to other people. Would I recommend this to other people that like scary movies or other friends or people that I meet in the future? Absolutely not. But is it your cup of tea? Maybe. It's just not mine and my friend group. But that is the end of this video. I'm sorry if I sounded like I was rambling a lot. I felt like I was when I was writing the script for this video and when I was recording this video the first time. This is actually the second time because the first time was completely muted and I had no idea. I hope you did like this video. If you did like it, go ahead and hit that like button. If you want to see more of my content, go ahead and hit the subscription button. And if you want to get notified anytime I post a video, you can go ahead and hit that notification bell. I'm just frustrated with how this movie went. I wanted it to be better. But yeah, I hope you like this video. I think if this video does well, I'll do more movie reviews. I won't just do horror movie stuff, but you know, you've been to my channel before, you know I like spooky movies, so I might talk about it. And yeah, I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!